Hey MTV, welcome to my studio. So today marks 1 year of being in this house. I honestly can't believe it because I still haven't filmed a sewing room tour. I never even got around to it in my first house. But that's because my craft room is always a disaster. I feel like it's not messy, I'm not working. I work in absolute chaos. This craft room thankfully is a lot bigger than my last one and I am so grateful for it. I've come a long way from creating in my bedroom at my parents' house. I'm gonna show you how I try to stay organized, all the furniture and stuff in my sewing room. This is also gonna be a machine tour. I have so many sewing machines and things that help me with my sewing or crafting. I get a ton of questions on them, but it's way too much to explain in a comment section. I'm really excited to show you guys my space, so let's get into it. Starting in this corner, we have my adjustable dress form, my straight stitch sewing machine, and my pegboard. Here's a little close up. I did make the lettering pink. It did not come like that. It's just Cricut. Most sewing machines, you'll have a bunch of different settings. You can make a zigzag, straight stitch, or whatever. But with industrials, they usually only have one function. So this industrial machine only does a straight stitch. I just realized I'm using black thread, so you're not really gonna be able to see. But it has a motor on it so it can go super fast. I actually had a white bobbin in so you can see. So the reason I have an industrial is they're super sturdy. You can sew ultra fast. Denim and heavy materials like that are not really gonna give you any problem at all compared to a normal sewing machine. So it's built into a table and you can see it actually has a motor under here so you can adjust the speed. It goes extremely fast. I'll show you in a second. If you're just sewing your own clothes or just doing this as a hobby, you probably don't need an industrial. They're very expensive. They take up a ton of room. But with that being said, this thing can literally sew through anything. Like you could literally pile like 4 pairs of jeans on top of each other and it'll most likely sew through it just fine. It's the same type of sewing machine that they generally use in factories and like sweatshops. They're definitely high quality and durable. If you have like an upcycling brand, sew for a living, anything like that, then I would definitely look into one because I love my Juki with all my heart. If you're just looking to upcycle your wardrobe and make some things here and there, you definitely do not need one. You can do pretty much anything on a domestic sewing machine. It might just be a little more of a hassle. So now let's move on to my dress form. So I don't have a ton to say about this dress form. It's actually an adjustable blue one from Joann. I will say I recommend getting an adjustable one. I would love to have one of the dress forms that looks super cool and is more pinnable, but my size literally always changes. So this one I can change the waist measurement, the bust measurement, and the hip measurements whenever I need. It's also great if you're trying to make pieces for other people because you can just change the measurements. And I didn't get the wheels with mine. This was actually like the bottom of a work stool that I got from Walmart, but it fit in there pretty well so I can kind of move her around on wheels. That little mirror I got from Walmart. I wanted to put my nice one in here, but it just would not fit where I wanted it to. That little sign is from Amazon. And I would definitely recommend having a pegboard if you have any sort of craft room. I have all of my threads and so many of my sewing notions right here. And it's just so easy to grab them whenever I need. And I painted this one. I think I got it at Lowe's or Home Depot. I just painted it white and they're pretty cheap and just so handy. Now I'm gonna move on to this industrial machine. This is my industrial serger. Once again, I just put the pink on with Cricut. It is a Juki and it's super heavy, like way heavier than my straight stitch. And once again, I'm just gonna show you how fast it goes. This can literally sew through anything. One thing I love about this is it has a foot pedal. So instead of like most normal sergers, you have to like put your hand up here to lift the presser foot. You can just do it all with your feet. So you can always have your hands on the fabric, which is super nice. And it goes incredibly fast. And the same thing, it's just so strong versus a normal domestic serger. You can put like a ton of layers of denim and it's not gonna skip or break. Like I had so many sergers break before I got this thing. It actually goes way faster. I just have it down to the setting because I'm afraid that it would literally cut my finger off. Here's the serger finish. It leaves a super professional finish on all of your items. And this you can use on like multiple layers of denim. So if you're doing patchwork denim, you can like serge the inseams back. This serger also has a lock stitch, safety stitch, whatever it's called. It usually has like a little chain stitch that goes, basically looks like a straight stitch, but it's really strong. But I don't use it because I just want this finish for when I do tops and stuff, because otherwise it kind of makes the seam seam allowance. Big, but just like my other industrial, you probably don't need it if you're just a hobby sewer. But if you're sewing a ton of stuff or have a business, I would totally recommend it. It's amazing. Like if you've ever wanted to throw your serger at the wall because it just won't stop skipping or just messing up, you will not have that problem with this serger, like ever. Like, you can probably put a brick through it and it'll just serge it. So it's crazy good quality once again, but it's super expensive. So you definitely don't need this if you're just like occasionally sewing some stuff for yourself. But for my small business owners out there, definitely look into investing in one of those because it is a workhorse. I also forgot to point out my chair. It's from IKEA and I love it. The wheels are really small though, so it never rolls because there's so much thread and fabric in all the wheels. In this little corner over here, I have all of my notions and stuff. All my notions are in these cubes from Target and the buckets are literally from Dollar Tree. It was so cheap and they fit so well. Not super organized, but they definitely do the job. And this is my cat's window because Remy loves to be in here while I work. Now to my closet. It's still a bit of a jump scare, even though this is definitely the most organized it's ever been. Definitely a little scary in here. This hamper, I put some of my scrap fabrics in. Ton of fabrics and just stuff that I've made and haven't really posted. I got all my patterns in there. I definitely need help with that. More fabric just along this back wall. And then I have this Eversewing sewing machine. That's a really good sewing machine for like decorative stitches like these, but not so much for like super heavy fabrics, which is why I have that one up just whenever I need to use it. And my Cricut is all the way back there. I do use it quite a bit, but I just take it out the closet whenever I need it. We're gonna close these, act like it's clean. And then I have my TV over here because I always watch TV when I work. And I have this miniature little IKEA desk. And that's just where I put my laptop and whatever I need for recording. Another tiny little cat tree for me. And then onto this side of my craft room. This is a little shoe holder I have from Walmart and I usually put fabric or orders in there. I got this little organizer from Burlington and it just fit perfectly there. I have more notions and just like random stuff in there. And here is my heat press. A heat press is basically a huge iron. So it can get super hot. I don't know what this goes up to, but it's usually at like 300 or 400 degrees and you can use it to apply pressure so you don't have to like sit there and put pressure on something when you're ironing it. I use it for sublimation, Cricut heat transfer, hot fix rhinestones, and I hate ironing, so I'll even use it to iron on my interfacing when I sew because it just applies such even pressure. I stole this one from my boyfriend, so I don't know where exactly he got it, but they're pretty inexpensive and I would definitely recommend getting one. I have my little pink rivet press over here, and then this is my domestic Juki serger. I usually just leave like black in it because I have white in my other one. Out of all of the domestic sergers I've had, I think this one's definitely my favorite. This one, you do lift the presser foot up this way. That's how you do it on most domestic sergers. I do wish that it had a thread cutter because I had a different serger that did and it was so helpful. So this is a great serger if you're just looking for a domestic serger. I honestly feel like with sergers, you just can't beat Juki. And if this had a thread cutter, it would literally be ideal. It's super quiet and I haven't had any issues with it, but I do not put heavy fabric like denim through it. I only do that on my industrial because that will just totally throw off most domestic sergers. So I reserve this one for thin fabric and like knits. So if you're making a bunch of shirts and a knitwear, this is definitely a great serger for you. Moving over here, I have my Singer Heavy Duty. This is definitely the machine I would recommend for beginners. You can do pretty much anything with this machine. It's super affordable and it has a bunch of different stitch options, but it's also not an overwhelming amount. Like you really will only need these stitches. And as far as domestic machines go, this is the only one I've had that can really get through denim and tough material. It's nearly as good as my industrial Juki. So if you're looking to upcycle, I would definitely recommend starting out with this before making the jump to something like my industrial straight stitch. This one is definitely the best bang for your buck. I honestly don't know how they made such an affordable machine that can sew through stuff so well. A lot of sewing machines are meant for different things. And when I first started upcycling, I was using ones meant for like decorative stitching and they were really slow, whatever. This one I will say is pretty loud, but that's because it's a workhorse. Definitely recommend. So this is my cover stitch machine. Cover stitch machines are used to leave a super nice finished hem. So as you can see, the hem is just super nice. It's like the most professional finish ever, but this machine is like 100 times harder to work with than a serger. It'll always skip stitches and stuff. Like this, it usually works if it's in a straight line, but if you're trying to go over patchwork or whatever, it'll usually skip, which is so annoying because you literally have to either take it out and restart or like hand knot these together. I say I have a love-hate relationship with my cover stitch because it can leave such a good finish when it works properly, but it's like 100 times harder to figure out and use than a serger. It also just doesn't have many functions besides hemming. So if you make stuff with a ton of knits, it can be really good to have in your arsenal. I would absolutely love to have an industrial one, but I just don't have room. I honestly just don't think I have the best cover stitch. If I try to go over seams or anything, it skips stitches and it's such a pain because you literally have to like hand tie them all or seam rip it all out and start all over again. It takes so long to seam rip the seams out. I honestly try to avoid using it whenever possible, but if you have a ton of patience or if you just want to use it on a couple garments for yourself, it can leave a really nice finish, but I honestly wouldn't recommend the one I have. There is a Juki one that I would love to try out and I've heard good things about, but I can't give my personal opinion on it. But I wish I had room for an industrial one so bad because it looks so cool when you do patchwork with like the cover stitch on top of it. So maybe one day. Up here I have these grommets and this like huge industrial cutter and then just a bunch of plushies, a little fashion design Barbie. I have a laser printer, which is super nice. I don't have to buy a bunch of ink for patterns. And over here I have my sublimation printer. I did get this in collaboration with Brother, but they are not paying me to say this. I love this printer and it's a super good sublimation printer and really affordable. Both of these desks are from IKEA and I love the way they look. I also love how narrow they are. They're still plenty deep enough to actually work on without taking up too much space. One I got like over 10 years ago and one I just got last year, but I can't even tell which one's which because they've both stayed in such good condition. Another thing I love about these desks is the cord management. It has this little hole, so all of my sewing machine pedals and cords are all under there. That would look terrifying if that was out, but it goes through that little hole, so it makes it super easy for sewing machines. Moving on to the middle of my craft room, we have my craft island. I absolutely love this island. I did make it, and the top I can cut my fabric on. It's from Joanne. It's this topper that you can cut to whatever size table you have. And then I made the bottom out of IKEA cubes. I have a whole really in-depth video on how to make this yourself. I love this table so much because I can literally just roll it around wherever I need. Like, it also has room. I definitely could put pegboards on the sides, but I honestly just didn't even need that because I already have so much storage. And it was super affordable to put together, so I would definitely recommend having an island of some sort because it is such a pain to cut fabric on the floor. This is my little neon light. I love her so much. She just makes me feel so official. For real, if you're like a small business or starting a channel or something, I feel like you should just get your own neon sign because it's one of those like fake it till you make it things. It just makes you feel so official. Another thing that's super important in a craft room is good lighting. I love this light fixture, and the funny thing is it's actually a plug-in one, if you can see that cord. When I moved into this house, there was no light fixture here, but thankfully there's this outlet that connects to a switch. So I can still turn it on and off like a normal light fixture, but I had to hang it just from a little hook. But I think I literally got this for like 50 or 60 bucks on Amazon. It was only in black, so I did paint it white just so it would like blend into the ceiling. I love this light so much. I usually don't need any extra light when I'm recording, but good lighting is so essential for a craft room, especially if you're making content. But even if you have a light fixture, I would always recommend upgrading it, especially if it's like a crappy boob light or something, just because it'll make your life so much easier. That concludes the tour. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like my videos, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out so much. And be sure to connect with me on my other socials. Let me know what video you want to see next in the comments, and I'll catch you next time.